So, unless you've been living under a rock, you're probably aware of the ongoing chip war between the United States and China, but what you might not have known is that it's causing a lot of concern for US companies. Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang addressed this matter and talked about how worried he is about the potential consequences if things happen to escalate between the two nations. And if things do go downhill, we could see job losses and disruptions in the global supply chain, kind of like what happened during the pandemic. China is already checking out other options instead of using Nvidia chips, which means we might have to shell out more cash for technology. And hey, let's not forget about the cybersecurity worries that come with it. But let's dig deeper ourselves to see if Huang's concerns are legit and whether China's chip development could actually be a threat to US companies. First, let's find out what Huang actually said. Huang's main concern is about China's access to US chips getting restricted. He thinks that if China can't get chips from the US, they'll have to develop their own chip manufacturing capabilities. He points out that the Chinese market is super important for the tech industry, and losing access to it would really hurt American companies. His worries come from the fact that China is already making chips that compete with big US companies like Nvidia. This suggests that if China gets cut off from US suppliers, they could become self-sufficient and even give US chip manufacturers a run for their money. That's why Huang is warning against policymakers rushing into strict regulations without thinking it through, as it could harm the US tech industry. One reason why an escalating chip war would hurt US companies is because of how crucial the Chinese market is. China has a huge number of consumers and a growing tech sector, making it a vital market for US companies, especially in the semiconductor industry. Losing access to this market would result in a big drop in revenue and growth opportunities for US chip manufacturers. The Chinese market offers a lot of potential for US companies because the demand for chips is skyrocketing. China is rapidly advancing technologically and using more artificial intelligence applications, so they need high-quality chips to supplement this. US companies have therefore been cashing in on this demand, which has helped them make a lot of money and increase their share of the global market. But if US chip manufacturers can't keep up with the demand, it's not just about losing sales, they'll also miss out on the chance to be major players in China's booming tech scene, something that could seriously impact their competitiveness in the global semiconductor market for a very long time. Another important thing to consider is China's determination to develop its own chip manufacturing capabilities. The threat of being cut off from US suppliers has motivated China to become self-sufficient in the chip industry. They've been pouring loads of money into research and development, attracting top talent from all over the world, and partnering with global chip companies. And on top of that as well, China has put policies in place to boost the growth of its own semiconductor industry. With their massive production capabilities and influence in the market, China could pose a challenge to US chip manufacturers in the long run. But reaching complete self-sufficiency in chip manufacturing is a complex and time-consuming process for China. It takes a boatload of cash and overcoming technical challenges. China's own chip production is still in its early stages, and it would take them years to catch up with the technological advancements and quality offered by established US companies. Plus, the semiconductor industry relies on a vast network of suppliers and collaborations which would need to be developed and nurtured over time. While China's goal of becoming self-sufficient in chips poses a long-term challenge to US companies, it's unlikely that they would immediately kick out US suppliers if the chip war were to escalate. The technological gap between China and the established US manufacturers is pretty large, and closing it would take a whole lot of time and effort. Plus, the industry is evolving rapidly, so continuous investment in research and development is crucial to staying competitive. So, US chip manufacturers can use their expertise, technological superiority, and global partnerships to stay ahead of the game. The challenges involved in achieving chip self-sufficiency make it unlikely for China to immediately replace US suppliers. But hey, we shouldn't underestimate China's long-term ambitions and commitment to investing in their own chip industry. US companies should still stay on their toes and be prepared for potential future competition regardless. Now, the US has to be careful in how it chooses to proceed. It's not just about sticking it to China, but when producers of chips are so limited, they cannot afford to compromise the availability of said chips for the following reasons. First off, it could mess up the whole global supply chain, driving up prices for consumer electronics. This means everyday stuff like smartphones, laptops, and gaming consoles could end up costing costing us more money. What's more, when there's a shortage of chips, manufacturers struggle to meet the demand, which leads to shortages. And guess what? Manufacturers might pass on the increased production costs, which makes prices shoot up. The affordability of essential devices for work, education, and entertainment could also take a hit. The shortage of chips could create a frenzy in the resale market, driving prices even higher. Overall, the disruption in the supply chain caused by the chip war can make tech products more expensive and then limit our access to them. And then there's the issue of cybersecurity. If the security in the chip industry gets compromised, it could result in theft of intellectual property, industrial espionage, and unauthorized access to sensitive information. That's not just a financial loss, it also weakens the competitive advantage of the affected companies. The potential compromise of chips also raises bigger concerns about critical infrastructure, national security, and public safety. Plus, as chips become more integrated into various devices, there's a higher risk of cyber criminals exploiting vulnerabilities and gaining unauthorized access to networks. So, while China may not be an immediate threat, the US certainly wouldn't want to encourage the Chinese to just say, screw it, we'll do it ourselves. In a way, the US is keeping China on a leash by allowing them to use American chips, and as long as the Chinese don't get the good stuff, it should appease them in the meantime. As it stands though, the US still has the upper hand, but they shouldn't play it dumb and take all the toys from the sandbox when they know they have better stuff at home. In the meantime, make sure to keep it tuned to Profit Protection to stay up to date on all things related to the economy, geopolitics, and technology. You might even want to watch this other video of ours where we discuss the shocking deal made between Russia and Saudi Arabia last month. But before you go watch that, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you never miss an upload. As for now, that's all from us. Take care, and we'll catch you in the next one.